What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Charged Up. For today's video, we're going to be taking a road trip back from the cottage to home at nighttime using Autopilot. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to put in home address right here. Home address is entered and we are set to go. So we've got an hour 36 for the trip. Until we get to the highway, it's going to stay on Autopilot. You cannot use Navigate on Autopilot for now on city or county roads or anything like that. For now, at least. Car in front of me is pulling a trailer and the lights are not working on the trailer. I think the brake lights are working, but the running lights are not working. And I don't think the Autopilot is picking that up. Right now I do have it set to be 3 cars behind. So we'll go back to 1. I'm curious how far away it's gonna stop there. I don't think it's gonna pick it up. Like right now it's still just showing me the car, but not any sort of long trailer or something like that. So it's getting closer and closer and closer. Yeah, I don't think it's picking up the actual trailer. Could be wrong, but I don't believe it's picking up the trailer. It's picking up the car only, but I will, just in case, pull it back to 3 car lengths just to make sure that we don't obviously brake too close to the car in front of us. We are currently at 52% battery, and by the time we get home we should have 17% battery left, which is more than enough to get home. So we got some cars on the right hand side here. Autopilot adjusts, stays close to the line. Nicely done. And the only reason it's weird here, because there's one lane that goes left and obviously one lane that goes right, but the lane is a little bit like sharp. It's a sharp, quick turn, so I just want to make sure it doesn't hit the cars that are parked, because it's really close to the cars that are parked right here. You can see how super close it is right over here. So I will take over right there. I'm not sure why they do that, or why they put it so close to the parked cars, but it is what it is. Okay, through the light, and now we'll go back onto Autopilot. Alright, we got a speed change coming up here. It's a 60 to 80 maximum now, and then Autopilot, we'll get Autopilot to change over to 90. So we'll increase the speed to 90 and continue on. As you can see here, the 1 lane turned to 2, so this is usually when the cars that are going slower stay in this lane and the cars pass on the left hand side. The lane coming up here, the lane is going to end here, so we'll go ahead and ask for a lane change, but the Autopilot will not do it because it doesn't know that there's a lane right beside it for some reason. It does now, but before it didn't for some reason, and then we'll go right back to the Autopilot. And I only know that because I've obviously come down this way before, but Autopilot should recognize that it's a two-way, that the 2 lanes go the same way. So when I asked for lane change, it should have done the lane change there. As you may be able to see, that Teslas do have the auto high beam feature, which is great. Obviously, a bunch of cars have them now. It's so much nicer for the car to just do it on its own. As you can see, there's a car coming up ahead, and the high beam is now off. And then once the car passes, high beam will just slowly go on, and high beam is on. Alright, we are now on the highway. We're going to go ahead and increase the speed to 120. And as we do that, I'm actually going to navigate on Autopilot. And now Autopilot will do everything on its own. It'll make lane changes, and then when it needs to, it'll actually get off on the correct off ramp. Okay, Autopilot has noticed the transport truck is slower here, so it will make the lane change and then speed up. I will increase the speed to 125 just to get by the transport truck. There's a car coming up from behind, but we should be good. And then once we pass the transport truck here, Autopilot will then immediately go back into that lane. Let's see if it does it this time here. No issues that time. Alright, Autopilot noticing again slower traffic in this lane, and it'll make the lane change now. And then speed up. There it is. So So we passed that car on the right, and then now it's going to make the lane change into the right lane. Making the lane change here, or going to be making the lane change. I'll take over. There's a car coming, speeding up right here, so that's why I took over. And then we'll let Autopilot take over once again. Autopilot didn't see him coming because he was flying. Like, I mean, he was flying from behind. So as you can tell, he has no patience to wait behind the car. He's gonna actually go to the right and then cut in front of him, or cut in front of 2 cars ahead. So yeah, that guy was flying, so I did take over for that reason. Alright, there's Autopilot making the lane change now. Nicely done. And then we'll pull it back down to 120. I'm gonna get Autopilot to make the lane change to the right lane here, just so we don't get stuck behind this car. Make the lane change here because there was cars coming from the on-ramp. Alright, coming up to some traffic here, Autopilot realizes this, and this time, before even slowing down, it has made the lane change, and it will get by these 2 cars in the middle lane. There we go. And now that it has passed the 2 cars, it will change back to the middle lane and maintain the 120. Alright, looks like there's some cars on the right hand lane right there, so Autopilot has changed to this one here. Obviously there's a transport in front of us as well. Has passed the transport truck, and will most likely now go back into the middle lane, and it will do so. Nicely done. Those are both done nicely. No speed changes or anything like that. It just stayed at constant 120. It did everything nicely. No issues there. Alright, once again, Autopilot will make the lane change. Keeping the 120 at a constant, not changing that whatsoever. Alright, doing 120 here, and now we're going to make the lane change behind this guy as well. There we go. Could have probably stayed in that lane. Oh, and as I say that, Autopilot will now change back into that lane. I was going to say it probably could have stayed there just to pass this guy, or pass these couple next cars. I'll ask Autopilot for a lane change here. And there we go, Autopilot will now make the lane change. And we'll speed up. So what happens when you're doing 100 in the far left lane, and the guy beside you in the middle lane is also doing 100. Screw everybody up. Now Autopilot will change back to the middle lane.